Hey, you keen mind. Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
We're jumping into another fascinating mix of ideas today, all geared towards giving you those really satisfying aha moments efficiently.
That's the goal, yeah.
Today, it's quite a collection. Personal thoughts, reflections on life, vacations, sleep, friendships, even talking animals.
A real slice of life.
Exactly. And our mission, as always, is to unpack it all, find the surprising facts, the core insights, so you feel genuinely in the loop without getting overwhelmed.
It's interesting how these personal bits and pieces, when you look at them together, can paint a bigger picture,
Yeah.
about ourselves, about the world.
Okay, let's get into it. First up, vacations. Now, normally you think great trip, you think amazing place, right? Landmarks, scenery.
Right, the usual suspects.
But these sources,
Yeah.
they're suggesting the real heart of it is, well, somewhere else entirely.
That's right. It's less about the where and much more about the who and the how. It's the shared jokes, the spontaneous climbs, those unexpected
The
moments.
connection.
Exactly. It's the people. The sources keep coming back to that. The lasting memories aren't really the photos of the Eiffel Tower, necessarily.
More like that time you all got lost or shared some ridiculous inside joke.
Precisely. It's about building what you might call connection currency. And research backs this up, actually. Those relational experiences, they stick with us, boost happiness long term, much more than just the destination itself.
Connection currency. I like that. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about emotions. This idea of using colors.
Ah, yes, the colorful language of the heart.
Right. Gold for success, pink for love, purple for bravery, even violet for dishonesty, red for danger, white for honesty. It sounds simple, almost, well, childlike.
It does seem simple on the surface, yeah. But it's actually a pretty neat way to anchor something that's usually quite fluid and intangible. Our emotions, right, they shift constantly.
So it's like a mental shortcut.
Kind of. It acknowledges the whole spectrum of what we feel. And for you, listener, looking for those quick insights, those aha moments about human nature, well, this gives a surprisingly useful frame. It helps understand that inner landscape, yours and others.
Makes sense. Okay, now here's something really relatable, I think. Those nights when your brain just won't shut down. Restless nights.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there.
And the sources here offer a really honest take. It goes beyond just, drink chamomile tea.
It really does. What stands out is the practicality. Acceptance, first off. Accepting you're awake. Then gentle things like focusing on breathing, your senses.
Little things.
Yeah, small physical actions too, like stretching or tidying up something small, just to redirect that mental energy.
And there's even a mention, quite honestly, about physical release.
Yes, and it's mentioned honestly though, moderated, as one potential tool for relaxation among others. It reflects a real-world approach, doesn't it? Things people actually do, maybe don't always talk about.
It encourages thinking broader, finding what actually works for you, not just the standard advice.
Exactly. Okay, so from internal states to how we connect. There's a reflection here on how social connection has changed, contrasting like hanging out back then versus now.
Right. Showing up at someone's door versus texting or scrolling through feeds.
Yeah. The source sort of suggests that in the past, maybe because it was less constant, less mediated by screens, just being present with people felt different.
Lighter.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
The feeling described is that those moments felt bigger, more anticipation, less divided attention, maybe. It's not saying one is definitively better, of course, but it makes you think.
It does. It makes you think about where our focus actually is when we connect now. Okay, let's lighten it up a bit. There's a story here about a ponytail.
Ah, the Shah Rukh Khan ponytail attempt.
Yes, which apparently went spectacularly wrong.
Resulting in a look described as a stressed-out porcupine, which is just a fantastic image.
Hilarious, but what's the takeaway beyond, maybe sticking to your own hairstyle?
Well, it perfectly captures that gap, doesn't it?
Huh.
Between who we admire or aspire to be and the reality. It's a funny lesson in self-awareness, knowing what works for you, accepting your own look.
Not assuming a superstar's hairstyle will magically translate. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay, from hairstyle fails to talking animals. If animals could suddenly talk, which one would be the most terrifying?
This is a great thought experiment. And the source makes a compelling case for cats.
Cats. Really, why?
Think about it. Their existing attitude, that indifference, the entitlement, the selective affection, the death stares. Now imagine all that amplified by human language.
Okay, yeah, I can see it. They'd be brutal.
Right. It's a funny way to look at how we already interpret their behavior.
It really is. Okay, moving from hypothetical terror to actual awkwardness, a Justin Bieber ringtone incident.
Yes. A phone rings super loudly in a quiet place, playing Bieber, leading to this brief interaction with a girl.
Cringeworthy, but also sweet.
Kind of, yeah. The point is how these small, potentially embarrassing moments can actually spark a connection. The loud ringtone breaks the ice. It becomes this shared moment of slight absurdity.
And it sticks with you.
Exactly. It highlights that vulnerability when you're trying to impress someone, maybe, and how tiny, unexpected interactions can sometimes leave a real mark.
Connection popping up where you least expect it. Right, speaking of unexpected, what about hacking? If you could hack any computer,
A dangerous hypothetical.
the source contemplates this, maybe targeting powerful figures, but ultimately decides against it. Why?
Ethics, pure and simple. The reasoning is basically doing something wrong for the right price still makes it wrong. Even if the intention feels noble, the act itself crosses a line.
And also touches on hacking a partner's phone.
Briefly, yeah, but dismisses it immediately. Reinforces that trust and privacy are just fundamental and non-negotiable, really.
Good principles to remember. Okay, let's zoom out culturally. Living with parents in India, it's quite different from Western norms, right?
Very different. In India, it's common, even expected sometimes, for adults to live with their parents well into their 20s, 30s, sometimes even after marriage.
Whereas here, often the push is for independence at 18.
Exactly. In India, it's often seen as a sign of close family ties, mutual support, shared responsibilities. It's just a different cultural script around family and adulthood. Really highlights how culture shapes these core life structures.
Fascinating difference. From cultural norms now to figures from the past, Leonardo da Vinci gets mentioned with real admiration. What's the enduring appeal?
It's that incredible breadth, isn't it? Art, science. His thinking was just so far ahead of its time, connecting art and science in ways that were revolutionary.
A true polymath.
Absolutely. And there's this sense of connection through his work, imagining his mindset, even though meeting him is impossible. He represents this peak of human ingenuity and curiosity. Inspiring stuff.
Definitely. And speaking of the unexpected, a brief mention of evolution.
Yeah, just a quick thought on how, some animal adaptations seem utterly ridiculous at first glance.
Like, why would that evolve?
Right. But the point is, they do serve a purpose. It's all part of that complex survival game. A little nod to the sheer wonder and, frankly, weirdness of nature.
Nature's full of surprises. Okay, getting personal again. A New Year's Eve party is described as a pivotal moment. Not some huge event, but significant. Why?
Because that's where key, lasting friendships were formed. It wasn't a landmark birthday or a wedding, just a seemingly ordinary party.
But it became a turning point.
Exactly. It shows that those truly historic moments in our own lives aren't always the big, loud ones. Sometimes they're quiet, personal, a connection made, realization dawning, relevant for all of us, I think.
Okay, fair, true. Okay, next up, a contrast is drawn between exaggeration in entertainment versus food production. That seems specific.
It is, but it makes an interesting point. In movies or shows, we often expect exaggeration, right? For drama, for effect.
Sure.
But when exaggeration happens in, say, food production, maybe masking wastefulness as abundance or downplaying issues, the consequences are very real. Resource depletion, environmental impact.
And it also touches on how entertainment's fiction can bleed into reality, like body standards or relationship ideas.
Exactly. So you have fiction influencing reality, and then reality being perhaps obscured by a kind of exaggeration in the food system. It's a thought-provoking link between two very different areas.
Definitely gives you pause.
Yeah.
So with all these different threads, what core values seem to emerge? What does the source really stand for?
It boils down to a few key things: fairness, truth, safety, freedom, empowerment. And maybe, crucially, this active choice to put energy into positive change, into building things up, rather than getting bogged down in negativity or hate.
A constructive focus.
Yeah, very much so.
Now, something more intimate, the idea of the best compliment. Why does it feel like those truly deep, unforgettable compliments are so rare?
It's a relatable feeling, isn't it? The source muses on a few reasons. Maybe we're just not great at giving really deep compliments in our culture. Or maybe we're quicker to see flaws than offer profound praise.
Or maybe, as the source suggests, we just don't witness truly extraordinary things that often in daily life.
That's part of it too, perhaps. It makes you think about how we value and communicate appreciation. What does it take to really make someone feel seen in that way?
Good question. Let's shift to another cultural insight. Intimacy in arranged marriages. What are the typical patterns discussed?
Well, interestingly, the source suggests that early on, The focus is often really heavily on emotional bonding, building trust, communication. The physical intimacy frequency might actually be similar to love marriages initially.
Really? That's counterintuitive to some stereotypes.
It can be. And then, like in many long-term relationships, factors like age, health, stress, lifestyle, they all start to play a bigger role over time. It shows intimacy is complex and evolves, regardless of how the marriage began.
A nuanced look. Okay, technology. AI is mentioned not just for coding, but as a creative partner. How so?
Yeah, using tools like ChatGPT for things like brainstorming Instagram captions or exploring creative ideas. It's positioning AI as more than just a technical tool.
Like a collaborator.
Kind of, yeah. A starting point generator, maybe. It shows how AI is moving beyond just logic and code into these more creative spaces, which is a huge shift.
Definitely changing how people create. And speaking of ancient practices, dance? What were its roots?
Deep roots. In early tribes and cultures, dance wasn't just fun, it was vital. Storytelling, morning rituals, worship, celebrating harvests.
And social bonding.
Hugely important for that. Shared rhythm, shared movement, and built group identity, cohesion, trust. Essential stuff for survival back then.
It's woven into our history. Okay, zooming way out again. Global threats. What's the message there?
Just a brief but important point about interconnectedness. Climate change, health crises, inequality. They're not separate boxes. They feed into each other.
We need collaboration.
Exactly. Global collaboration, awareness, individual action. It all matters because these problems cross borders. We're all in it together, basically.
A call for collective responsibility. All right, now for something purely delightful. Baby elephants.
Oh, the cuteness.
The source described it as almost painfully cute. Why such a strong reaction?
It's that combination, isn't it? The big floppy ears, the clumsy legs, the sheer innocence. The source humorously contrasts it with human babies, whose cuteness can be, well, more variable sometimes.
Fair point. Baby elephants seem universally adorable.
They really do. Pure joy.
Okay, next up, a beard anecdote. Apparently, growing a beard helps balance out a slightly asymmetrical smile.
Yeah, a personal observation, possibly prompted by others noticing it first. It's a neat example of how a small change can have an unexpected aesthetic effect, bringing things into balance visually.
Funny how we might not even notice those things about ourselves until someone else points it out or we make a change.
Absolutely. Our perception of ourselves could be funny like that.
Hypothetical. An internet without ads? What would that look like?
It's a double-edged sword, according to the source. Positives. Maybe a less commercial, more community-focused internet. More authentic, perhaps.
And the downsides?
Big ones. That ad revenue funds so much of what's free online now. Without it, innovation could slow way down. Services we rely on might just vanish.
Okay.
Or everything becomes subscription-based.
A massive shift in the online economy we're thinking about. Okay, sandwiches. Specifically, the idea of a best sandwich in India.
Right. The perspective here is that sandwiches aren't really a big thing in Indian cuisine, not like in the West. They're seen more as quick, functional food, utilitarian.
Not something you'd obsess over finding the best version of.
Generally not, no. It's just a different cultural relationship with that particular food. It highlights how even simple things like lunch are viewed through a cultural lens.
Interesting. Now, for a slightly yuckier dilemma, would you retrieve your phone if you dropped it in a public toilet?
Huh. The source, despite expressing extreme disgust for public toilets, leans towards
Yes.
retrieving the phone.
Seriously, why?
Because of the perceived value of the phone. It outweighs the ick factor. It's a funny, if gross, illustration of how indispensable these devices feel to us now. Our whole lives are on them.
This says a lot about our priorities, maybe. Okay, let's talk planning for the future, especially when things feel uncertain. The source is 30, living with parents, not currently earning in a traditional way. What's the approach?
It's about focusing on growth, building something meaningful, specifically creative pursuits, but without making big, premature promises. The quote is, "People don't need promises, they need proof."
So head down, do the work, show results later.
Exactly. It's a patient, grounded approach, acknowledging the uncertainty, but still actively working towards a goal, just maybe not shouting about it yet.
Makes sense. Now, electric scooters. Practicalities. Pros and cons based on experience.
Pretty straightforward. Pros, faster in cities, cleaner, cheaper to run than a car. Cons, limited range, finding charging stations can be a trick, definitely not for long road trips.
So good for city commuting, maybe, but limitations.
That's the gist, yeah. Depends on your needs.
Right. Let's talk about tribes. Finding your people, finding where you belong.
This reflects on the idea that we have different tribes. right? Family is one, close friends another. But it's also an ongoing search.
Finding new connections?
Yeah, future tribes based on shared values, passions, life stages. It's about recognizing that finding where you truly belong isn't always a one-time thing. It's a journey.
A continuous process.
Yeah.
Okay, boredom. What happens when boredom hits, beyond just scrolling social media?
Several things mentioned. Watching documentaries, so learning something. Playing video games, specifically Forza Horizon 5 is named.
Escapism and engagement.
Right. And also rewatching comfort TV shows like Friends or The Big Bang Theory. Familiar, easy enjoyment.
And there was an unexpected benefit mentioned.
Yeah, noticing that rewatching these shows actually helped improve English skills. An unintended positive outcome of just relaxing.
You learn in mysterious ways. Okay, museums. The source sees them as time machines.
Yeah, not just dusty halls, but portals to the past. Walking through them fosters gratitude for the present, sparks curiosity about how people lived. No?
It connects you to history in a tangible way.
Exactly. It can be really inspiring, seeing the ingenuity or just the daily life objects from different eras.
A different way to look at them. Okay, a core principle. Dreaming versus doing.
Simple but crucial. Everyone dreams, the source says, but the difference maker? Consistent action. Putting in the work. That's what leads to progress.
Action over just aspiration makes sense. What about fame? Is that the goal?
Apparently not. The preference stated is for meaning, fulfillment, progress, peace over fame.
So focusing inward and on impact, not external recognition.
Yeah. Solving problems, self-improvement, contributing quietly. Fame isn't the driving force.
A different kind of ambition. Now, the idea of moderation, the power of small doses.
This is interesting. The idea that maybe we enjoy things more when we don't have constant, unlimited access to them.
Like how the thrill of a new relationship or a new gadget can fade with constant exposure.
Exactly. Moderation can actually keep the joy alive longer. Appreciating things more because they aren't overwhelming us. It's a lesson in balance, maybe.
Definitely something to think about. Resilience, how is that defined?
As facing challenges head on, pushing through setbacks, not giving up easily. It's presented as a key skill for just navigating life, really. Bouncing back.
Essential. Okay, music again. Hans Zimmer's film scores get a lot of love here.
Deep appreciation, yeah. It's about the emotional power of his music, how it tells stories, creates atmosphere, elevates the visuals, often without any words.
Emotional time travel, the source calls it.
Yeah, and specific tracks are mentioned: Time, Cornfield Chase, Lost But One, as examples of scores that just transport you. It's about the feeling they evoke.
His music definitely has that power. All right, criticism. How to handle it.
The key is differentiating. Random online negativity, ignore it. But constructive criticism, that's valuable. That's fuel for growth.
See it as part of the process, not an attack.
Exactly. Don't aim for universal approval. It's impossible. Aim to learn and improve from thoughtful feedback. Build from it. Don't let it break you.
Healthy perspective. And just to confirm, the rudest talking animal verdict still stands.
Still cats. The inherent attitude, amplified by language, it remains the most humorously terrifying prospect.
Okay, cats it is. Now, luck versus hard work and success. What's the balance?
Hard work comes first, absolutely foundational. But luck, or maybe better termed environment and opportunity, plays a role too.
Like who you know or the support you get?
Yeah, the source mentions the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with and gives examples: kids following parents' paths, or the impact of a supportive dad buying a specific toy versus wanting something unaffordable. It acknowledges that circumstances matter, alongside effort, finishing with gratitude for the support received.
A realistic mix of agency and circumstance. Okay, life goals. Not a sprint, but a marathon. Or multiple marathons.
Yeah, viewing life goals across decades, like aiming for longevity, staying vital, being prepared for life's curveballs, rather than needing to achieve everything by, say, 30 or 40.
A long-term perspective.
Very much focused on sustainability and endurance over decades.
What about the downside of modern life? Constant context switching.
Oh, the source describes this as really disruptive. Jumping between work tasks, personal messages, different apps. It messes with sleep, habits, exercise, just drains your energy.
Makes it hard to focus or build momentum.
Totally. The COVID work-from-home demands are mentioned as a tipping point where this became really apparent and problematic.
A common struggle. Okay, knowing when to stand out versus blending in. What's the advice?
It's about adaptability and authenticity. It's not about being loud all the time, but knowing when your moment is, when your voice matters, and then owning it. Showing up as your truest self when it counts.
Strategic authenticity. And finding comfort. Who is the person the source feels most comfortable around?
The answer is themselves.
Interesting. Why?
Because of practicing self-honesty, talking to oneself without judgment, without needing to impress anyone, learning to be completely truthful internally. That builds a unique kind of comfort.
Makes sense. Building that inner trust. What about simple joys? Childhood memories that stick.
Things like just watching friends play video games or a funny prank birthday surprise. Simple stuff. The point made is how these experiences and friendships create lasting joy, much more than, say, getting a new toy back then. Recalling wild moments with friends still brings happiness now.
Experiences over possessions. A recurring theme. Happiness and money, what's the relationship?
Money helps, definitely. Solves problems, gives freedom, that brings a certain happiness. But the emotional return fades once basic needs and, some wants are met.
So where does the deeper lasting joy come from?
Close friendships, fulfilling work. Things money can facilitate, perhaps, but not directly buy.
Good distinction. Okay, the perfect night out. Is it meticulously planned?
Quite the opposite. The ideal night out is described as spontaneous. All about the vibes, the company, closest friends, open road, good energy, no strict plans.
Embracing the randomness.
Yeah, random moments, deep talks, just being together. The imperfections are actually part of what makes it perfect. No pressure.
Sounds ideal. Why do people stand in line for things?
Because they believe the reward is worth the wait. Exceptional food, a once-in-a-lifetime concert, a limited product. The value outweighs the inconvenience.
And it's also about order.
Yeah, the source also mentions lines represent respect for a system. Order instead of a chaotic free-for-all. It's a social contract, in a way.
Interesting take. Managing anger. How does the source handle it?
Through reflection. Recording thoughts about what made them angry, trying to see the situation from other angles. A real-life wedding incident is mentioned as an example.
Processing it instead of just reacting.
Exactly. Finding constructive ways to understand and release it rather than lashing out. It's an ongoing practice.
A mindful approach. Okay, pool etiquette. Peeing in the pool.
A simple nope, never done it, not a thing. Respect shared spaces. End of story.
Straightforward. Languages to learn. Any specific ones?
Two come up, Urdu and Mandarin.
Why those?
Urdu for its emotional depth, connection to heritage.
Yeah.
Mandarin for its global importance, communication potential, and the sheer intellectual challenge of learning such a different system.
Culture and practicality. Got it. Turning points in life. Any key ones shared?
Three are mentioned. One was realizing a filmmaking dream didn't happen partly due to being too comfortable. Another was a specific movie line about stability versus dreams that hit hard. And third, a disappointing college experience.
And the lessons learned?
Comfort can be a trap. Progress isn't always linear. Failure can be redirection. And creativity can survive, even thrive in uncertainty. Resilience, again.
Powerful lessons. What about feeling dismissed early on, creatively?
Yeah, a story about feeling overlooked, but a parent's belief, just one parent really believing, became this huge driving force. Even now, with maybe some parental worries about current choices, that early belief still matters.
That core support makes a difference. Historical periods, a fascination with the Renaissance.
Yes, strong preference for it. Because of that mix of art and science, the fearless creativity, the human-centered innovation, preferred over the later Industrial Revolution, which felt more mechanical.
The human element was key. Okay, a simple preference. Ink color.
Blue ink. Just feels clean, classic. There's also a nostalgia bit about saving up for blue gel pens. For exams, they felt more special.
Little things hold memories. Success. How is it defined personally?
Built on hard work, self-belief, and patience. Effort is the absolute foundation.
Simple, powerful elements. India's education reservation system. Can you briefly explain the context?
It's a system based on caste, designed historically to address inequality and give opportunities to historically marginalized groups. But the source notes the current challenges, how it can feel unfair to those in the general category who might have higher scores but don't get admission due to reserved seats. It's complex.
A system with noble aims but ongoing complexities. Beach versus mountains. For peace.
Beach wins for peaceful walks, feeling that sense of open connection. Mountains are appreciated for adventure, like climbing, but the beach offers more tranquility for this person.
Personal preference for calm. Living abroad. Ever consider it?
Open to it, yeah. For the experience, new perspectives. But it would need strong reasons, and there'd be a lot to weigh leaving family, friends, culture behind. It's not a casual decision.
A conditional yes. Okay, music again. Why do favorite songs get boring if played nonstop?
Brain science. Our brains crave a bit of surprise,
Yeah.
even within patterns we like. Non-stop play makes it too predictable, the pleasure fades. Good music production often has subtle variations to keep it feeling fresh.
Keeps the brain guessing a little. Fitness routine, what does it involve?
A balanced mix. Running, push-ups, badminton for fun, some light exercises. The key is consistency. Movement is non-negotiable.
Making it a regular habit. And diet, simple or complex?
Very simple and budget-friendly. Rotas, rice, dal, lentils, sometimes vegetables. Prioritizing fuel and affordability over elaborate meals.
Functional eating, that not-so-prank birthday surprise again.
Right, the friends pretending to be busy, then revealing the party. Just a sweet memory of unexpected joy from loved ones.
So those moments are the best. Okay, brace yourself. The other cowshed incident, the embarrassing one.
Oh boy. Yeah, the village wedding, no proper toilets, desperate need, resulting in a very awkward, unfortunate encounter with a cowshed.
Childhood trauma, perhaps.
Enough said. Let's move to intimacy. Thoughts from someone who identifies as a virgin.
The focus is on intimacy being way more than just physical pleasure. It's about trust, comfort, deep emotional connection. Open communication and consent are highlighted as crucial for any future relationship.
A thoughtful perspective. Daily plan, what's the structure?
2 main blocks. Mission Android Studio in the morning, coding, building skills. And say cheese, in the afternoon photography, content creation.
Building the future and feeding the creative soul.
Exactly, a structured approach to balancing those.
Yearly family tradition, what's the hope?
To establish a yearly real adventure, mountain climbing, trekking, camping, something challenging to build deeper connections through shared experience and overcoming obstacles together.
Sounds amazing. Hair dye.
Ever!
Current vibe is natural and simple. Maybe someday. But no immediate plans. Acknowledges wild colors look cool on others, but maybe not a personal fit right now. Never say never, though.
Keeping options open, next big tech thing.
Briefly touches on the G evolution, 3G, 4G, 5G getting faster. Speculating 6G will be even faster, more capable. Though as the current speeds are often pretty good anyway.
More speed on the horizon. Sleep schedule. Early bird or night owl.
Aims for 6 a.m. wake up. Usually lands around 7 a.m. bedtime around midnight. So about 7 hours. Values at rest. Follows the body's natural rhythm more than forcing an extreme schedule.
Realistic and balanced. Social media algorithms. Friend or foe.
Both, really. Helpful for finding relevant stuff, curating feeds. Harmful because they can create filter bubbles, amplify negativity or bias. Needs mindful management.
A tool to use cautiously. What specifically grinds the gears about social media?
A list. Excessive ads, misleading content, constant notifications, the pressure to look perfect, toxic behavior, algorithm bias, addictive design. Mentions using a digital well-being app to limit time spent.
Common complaints. A skill to learn together in a relationship.
Dancing comes up. Fun way to connect, learn rhythm together, nonverbal cues, even if it's awkward at first. Alternatives mentioned. Paintball or shooting practice, more adventurous bonding.
Shared learning, shared fun, most laugh-inducing outfit imaginable.
Something deliberately terrible. Multiple clashing t-shirts, mismatched bottoms, maybe formal shoes with athletic socks. Just pure fashion chaos for laughs. A self-aware lack of high fashion sense is admitted.
Embrace the absurdity. Handling breakups. What's the approach?
Thoughtful. Self-reflection first was my part. Try to see their side. Forgive if possible, but set firm boundaries to protect your own peace afterwards. Be cautious opening up again after a betrayal.
Protect yourself while learning. Marriage. Is it in the cards?
Yes, eventually, once you get married someday. But it's all about the right person, right time, genuine connection, growing together. Not a priority right now, being single. No rush.
Patiently optimistic. Challenging personal biases. Any examples?
An anecdote about judging someone's clothing at a cultural event based on personal norms, then realizing how unfair that was. It sparked an ongoing effort to replace judgment with curiosity and open-mindedness.
Learning to question assumptions. Most exotic food tried.
Admits to not being a foodie. Recalls eating something unknowingly that was later called exotic, but having no real reaction. Food novelty isn't a big driver.
Fair enough. Robots replacing intimacy. Thoughts?
Bewilderment. Questions this trend in technology, why aim to replace such a basic human experience, raises concerns about the future of real connection.
A disconcerting thought. Swap lives with an animal.
A hard no. Values human potential impact, dreams, choice, purpose way too much. Even a comfortable animal life seems too passive in comparison.
Human experience wins out, pretending to understand things.
Used to do it sometimes, to avoid awkwardness. But now, much more likely to just admit, I don't get it, and ask questions. Prefers honesty and actually learning.
Growth in intellectual honesty. Being around a partner's friends, how does that feel?
Generally okay, but a bit observant. values being included. Simple requests. Just be yourself, laugh along, seize it as a chance to connect, not a test to pass.
Low pressure approach, favorite movies, latest hits.
Less focus on what's new, more on rewatching timeless favorites, comfort viewing, maybe finding new layers with each watch.
Classics for a reason. What
Yeah.
gives you butterflies?
Small, unexpected, genuine gestures from someone you like. A simple good morning text, a thoughtful little surprise, that creates the excitement.
It's the small, thoughtful things, dancing style.
Simple, fun, follow the beat, enjoy the moment, not trying to be flashy, appreciates skilled dancers, but personally keeps it uncomplicated.
Just move and have fun. Solo activities for recharging.
Watching documentaries, playing Forza Horizon 5, solo workouts, learning stuff online, reading, writing, especially creative ideas for films or games. Time for self.
Good mix of relaxing and stimulating. The weight of time. Creative clans.
Acknowledges a gap between past dreams, being a known creator by now, and current reality. But the plan is still firmly on creative work, YouTube, photography, filmmaking, driven by hope, faith, confidence, consistency, even without current earnings.
Sticking with the passion. Preferred accessory.
A classic analog watch. Simple, timeless. Symbolizes punctuality, adds to personal style, feels put together, preferred over flashy stuff or smartwatches.
Classic choice. Pillow situation for sleep.
Just one. Simple. Doesn't see the need for multiple pillows.
Minimalist comfort. Toilet paper. Over or under. And jet sprays.
Acknowledges the debate but expresses a strong preference for jet sprays bidets. Considers them more hygienic, eco-friendly, effective. Questions why they aren't more common in the West.
A vote for the bidet. Who are you low-key obsessed with, meaning deep admiration?
Clarifies its admiration, not stalking. Hans Zimmer, again, for the musical emotion, and Elon Musk for the ambitious innovation. People whose work motivates and inspires.
Creative and impactful figures. Is adversity good for you?
Some, yes. In the right dose, with support. Builds resilience, empathy. But too much, especially without support, is harmful. Advocates for safety nets.
Balance and support are key. Admitting when you're wrong, easy or hard.
Prefers to own it. Sees it as mature. Helps you learn and move on. Not always easy, but better than hiding it.
Taking responsibility. Renaming places. Thoughts.
Hesitation. Names have history, meaning identity attached. Uses India, Pakistan, Bangladesh as examples of names deeply rooted in history. Shouldn't be changed lightly without understanding that.
Respecting the roots. Identity through creativity.
Defined largely through photography, daily practice, and filmmaking, the dream. Art gives voice, direction, admires Da Vinci as the standard for creative courage.
Creativity as a core identity. Trends. Are they avoidable? What's the biggest one now?
Even if you try to ignore trends, they influence you subtly. The biggest, most pervasive trend right now, artificial intelligence. It's everywhere, changing things fast.
AI is undeniable. If life were a spice.
A metaphor. Aims to be like salt essential, foundational, balancing. But ultimately, maybe the whole dish, a complex mix of everything, with others adding their own unique flavors to your life too.
A complex, flavorful life. Driving test failure. Why?
Lack of confidence, not enough practice, especially with precision, things like reversing. Real-world skill wasn't quite there yet. Needs more time behind the wheel.
Experience is key. Small changes for better appearance.
Two simple ones. Good posture and walking confidently. And clean, well-fitting shoes. Slip-ons get a mention as a preference. Easy things with impact.
Confidence and clean shoes. Contributing to the greater good? How?
Living with awareness, helping when you can, working on self-improvement, being kind. Believes individual actions ripple outwards.
Small actions matter collectively. What do you know the most about? What's your expertise?
Describes self as a creative learner. Hands-on experience in video editing, creative projects, fitness, some app building. Emphasizes it's all a work in progress. Open to feedback, still learning. Sees current knowledge as just a base.
A journey of learning. Sexy names. Subjective or objective?
Totally subjective. Depends on personal taste, culture, associations with people who have the name. It's about the feeling, not just the sound.
All in the year of the beholder. Favorite family memories.
Raksha Bandhan festival memories, especially a unique family tradition where brothers also tie Rakis on sisters, adds humor and makes it extra special.
Lovely, unique tradition. Modern society, bafflement, anything specific.
The sheer speed of AI development recently, how quickly it's gone from basic phone assistants to generating complex content, even on mid-range devices. It's astonishingly fast.
The pace is incredible. Everyday style.
Simple, comfortable, budget-conscious. Basic tees, casual pants, neutral colors, fit and comfort over brands, often buys online. Practical.
Comfort and practicality rule. Favorite place to walk.
The rooftop at home. Not scenic in a traditional way, but peaceful, private, good for thinking, de-stressing. Connection to the space matters more than the view itself.
Your own private sanctuary. Dream vacation, people or place. Definitely people. Being with close friends, sharing experiences, laughing. The location is secondary to the company.
Connection over destination. Everyday things that feel overpriced.
Private education, questioning the value return, airline tickets, convenience versus cost fees,
Yeah.
mobile internet service, cheap data but sometimes poor quality.
Relatable frustrations.
Yeah.
Friends versus family. Sources of happiness.
Friends are huge for daily happiness, motivation, fun. Family provides the deep stability, values, sense of belonging, both vital but different roles.
Different pillars of support. Approach to food. Fuel or passion.
Mostly fuel. Practical. Not obsessed with cravings or fancy flavors, willing to try things but not actively seeking novelty. Function over form, mostly.
Efficient eating. Dream job. Already doing it.
Yes. Considers the creative work, photography, filmmaking, the dream job, even though it's not paying the bills yet. The passion and consistent effort are there. Believes success will follow the work. Intrinsic motivation is key.
Living the dream. Building the future. Modern commandments.
Aspirations? Be kind. Seek truth. Think critically. Be empathetic. Live sustainably. Promote equality. Never stop learning. Principles for a better world.
Good goals to strive for. Ideal hotel. Vision.
Focus on the basics done brilliantly. Amazing service, spotless cleanliness, genuine respect for guests. Location matters, high traffic like Times Square or Miami beachfront. Guest experience over flashy extras.
Excellence in the essentials. Driving test. The pass. How did that happen?
Humorous story. Performance was bad, poor reversing, hesitation, but passed anyway, likely thanks to a helpful agent smoothing things over. Highlights the gap between the test and real skill sometimes.
Sometimes you get lucky. Scariest movie.
Life, the sci-fi thriller. Not jump scares, but the intelligent, adaptive alien in a confined space, psychological tension, inescapable dread. That's what made it scary.
Claustrophobic intelligence sounds terrifying. Acting calm while freaking out inside. Examples.
2 moments. Getting an unexpected wedding invite, internal excitement, outward calm. And having an unspoken crush nearby, internal nerves, outward composure.
Managing that internal-external split. We all wear masks sometimes. Amazing true stories discovered via movies.
Yes, mentions finding incredible real-life stories of courage, creativity, willpower through films. Movies opening eyes to true human potential.
Films inspiring through truth. Movie clickbait. Examples.
Trailers that mislead. Like making Sully look like a disaster movie, overhyping Bond's car in No Time to Die, making Cats look normal, or hiding Godzilla in his own trailer. Deceptive marketing.
Manage expectations. Science changing humanity overnight. Realistic.
Probably not instantly. Some things, cures, energy, could have fast effects. But true societal change, that's slower. Adaptation, infrastructure, culture shifts take time.
Evolution, not revolution, usually. Clever misdirection or misunderstanding.
Just touches on that feeling of thinking you're right, then realizing you're way off. Hints at personal examples, but doesn't detail them. A common human experience.
We've all been there, hiding social media metrics. Good idea.
Suggests hiding likes followers could be interesting. Might lead to more genuine content, people posting what they feel, not just what gets clicks. Less chasing popularity.
Focus on substance over stats. Favorite movie line with deeper meaning.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk from Iron Man. Admires Tony Stark's boldness, skipping steps, going all in on a vision. Metaphor for ambitious action.
Go big or go home. Dream concert.
Hans Zimmer live. Not for the rock star vibe, but for the emotional journey of the music. Hearing those iconic scores performed live, feeling the stories. Immersive.
An emotional sound bath. Why no more binge watching?
Because it wrecks sleep schedules and life balance. Throws everything off. Conscious choice to avoid it now for better overall rhythm.
Protecting that balance. Reflections on being single at 30.
Acknowledges seeing friends and relationships, feeling some curiosity about that experience. But the focus has been elsewhere, personal growth. Sees relationship timelines as individual, no shoulds.
Everyone's path is different. Untraditional college experience.
Yes, a quiet diploma program, not much social life. Different from the typical best days narrative. Just another way life unfolds, not better or worse.
Many ways to experience young adulthood. Worst movie trope. Bad film experience.
We ran out of time for the movie complaints.
Next time. Near-death experience in Shalar.
Yes, a past driving incident. Very dangerous, avoided disaster, partly through luck. Left a lasting sense of life's fragility, importance of responsible choices.
A profound lesson. Sad movies. Generally avoided, but one hit hard.
Seems we'll have to wait for that tearjerker story, too.
Cliffhangers. Sloths, what's the appeal?
Their incredible laid-back vibe, like they've mastered doing nothing. Admirable in a way. Notes they're found in the Americas, not China, correcting a previous mention.
Relaxed, but geographically specific. Friendship. Definition.
Finding people who make life better just by being them, even with disagreements. Feeling understood, feeling at home, beyond just shared interests.
A sense of belonging. Strangely satisfying smell.
Raw petrol or diesel, not exhaust, the actual fuel smell. Unusual, but satisfying to the source.
Each to their own. Failed meditation camp escape.
Funny story. Tried a silent camp, couldn't handle it, escaped at night, hitchhiked back to the city. Realized it wasn't the right fit then.
Sometimes you just gotta bail. The floor soup incident.
Another one for the future, it seems. The mysteries of childhood mishaps.
Okay. Most anxiety-inducing regular activity.
Thinking about the future, the uncertainty, but accepting that anxiety is normal if you care, and just keep moving forward.
Acceptance is key. Going back in time, would you change things?
Tempting, yes. But would it really guarantee a better life? Maybe accepting the past, learning from it, is more valuable than trying to rewrite it.
Acceptance over alteration. Unexpected value. Cheap t-shirt versus bad cable.
The cheap tee felt amazing, great value. The cheap monitor cable was useless. Point being, price doesn't always equal quality or usability. Unpredictable.
You win some, you lose some. Quirky business idea.
A grown-up dessert truck. Nostalgic treats, maybe a bit rebellious, with a matching edgy vibe. Fun idea.
Sounds delicious. Social media evolution. Facebook, Instagram.
Feels they've changed for the worse. Less genuine connection, more noise, chasing trends. Especially Instagram's shift to reels over photos. Disappointing.
A common sentiment. Inappropriate laughter.
Laughing with a friend when someone else gave that friend an overly glowing compliment. Funny because they both knew the friend's flaws. Shared moment of slightly awkward amusement.
Knowing the real person behind the praise. The 20 rupee miracle.
Finding that 20 rupee note as a kid meant being able to rent a coveted video game. A small amount of money enabled a big childhood dream joy. Lucky find.
Small joys magnified by childhood. iPhone 15 Pro, worth the hype.
Critical take. Sees it as overrated. Minor upgrades, big price jump. Predictable Apple cycle, not real innovation this time around.
Skeptical consumer. Village wedding disaster, part 3.
The cow go incident revisited, just reinforcing the sheer awkwardness and embarrassment of needing the toilet desperately with no proper facilities as a child. Truly mortifying.
Poor kid. Sweet spot for sleep. Afternoon slump.
6 to 6.5 hours is the sweet spot. Afternoon drowsiness is common. Sometimes needs a 30-minute power nap to push through.
Managing energy levels. Digital communication style.
Hates email. Thousands unread. Uses it only when forced. OTPs, accounts. Prefers WhatsApp calls over text for directness, even for pranks.
Direct and call-oriented. Most boring sport. Fielding in cricket.
Admits fielding can be boring.
Yeah.
Humorously suggests letting fielders listen to music, but knows it's impractical and would lead to chaos.
Funny but flawed solution. The uncomfortable truth about death.
We all know we'll die, but we avoid talking about it. Acknowledging mortality openly could actually help us live more fully, prioritize better, appreciate the present.
Confronting it could improve life. Fooling people you're a pro athlete on TV.
Seems we're out of time for that particular fantasy.
Another time, perhaps. Well, there you have it. We've covered a lot of ground today, from vacation insights to chatty cats, ethical dilemmas, cultural differences, right up to the pros and cons of electric scooters and the merits of blue ink.
It's been quite the journey through these reflections. Lots of honesty, humor, and some really thoughtful perspectives on everyday life and bigger questions.
Hopefully you, our listener, picked up some of those aha moments we were aiming for. Plenty of surprising nuggets in there.
Absolutely. And what's maybe most striking is just that ongoing process of observation and reflection itself. How looking closely at our own lives, our thoughts, our experiences, even the slightly embarrassing ones, can yield real understanding.
Definitely. It's a reminder to pay attention, isn't it? Both to the world around us and our own inner landscape.
Precisely. Maybe a final thought for you to ponder is, what seemingly small observation or experience from your week, if you really unpacked it, might hold a surprising insight?
Ooh, good question to leave folks with. Thanks again for sharing your sources and your time with us, listener. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable perspectives. Keep that curiosity sharp.